Woohoo! Welcome to the Red Kingdom. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, 6:05 a.m. So do appreciate you tuning in this morning. You can always text me 309-451-9299. Be a part of the show. You can also find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to the channel today. I've got so much I got to get through today, so just stick with me. I want to get to the Bloomington City Council approving this expedited 550,000 550 557,000, sorry. Oh, it's early. I need my coffee, folks. $557,000 purchase to address the water issues. Okay. Now, this is really interesting because I'm going to total up everything that they've spent so far to fix the water problem. Okay. And you know my position on this. They should have fixed this water problem decades ago. We should be doing a permanent fix. It's almost like pouring Drano down your sink. Okay. You have a clog in your kitchen. Okay. And you're like, I wonder how to fix this. I'm just going to go buy some Drano. I'm going to pour it down my sink. Okay. You keep buying Drano over and over and over and over again. And, that racks up. It gets a little costly, Drano. I don't know how much it's at that now. It's probably like $20, I bet. Every single time about $60, you go through a few things of Drano, right? You're pouring Drano down every single time and you're doing a temporary fix. Okay. The permanent fix would be to change the water infrastructure entirely and drill wells under, for example, like I live in Lincoln, they have wells under the Muhammad Aquifer. They did that in the early 1990s or 1900 or early 1990s, I believe. So they changed that like decades ago, and most municipalities do. They change off of the lake source. So we're getting nickeled and dimed here because of the how do I say this politely? Because of the ignorance, I guess, of our leadership, the council, the mayors, and I'm not talking just this current council. Okay, I'm talking about previous mayors. Terry Renner, I believe he talked about changing the water infrastructure, but it never really happened. And not to mention, 20 years ago, they stopped treating the water with the PAC stuff. Okay, the PAC system. So this is like the powdered carbon that they use to treat the water, and that's what they're purchasing right now. So they just approved the $557,000. But there was some shady things that went on because, like earlier in February, the council approved $62,500 with the same company to do the PAC stuff. Okay, so the powdered carbon treatment. Okay, at $2,000 a ton. Okay, now this is kind of shady. That purchase was put out for bid. Last night's wasn't. Okay. Last night's purchase was $1.42 per pound. So I don't know why the metrics are different. In the February 24th council meeting, this is according to BLO News, it says $62,500 at $2,000 per ton. But last night, okay, the council meeting or emergency meeting, I guess, they spent the $1.42 per pound. Now you do the math here. Okay, that's $2,840 per ton. Okay, that the city is buying. So that's $840 more per ton. So I'm not really seeing why why it's 840 more per ton. Why is the second price more if it's the same company doing it? It's the same company doing the PAC. Why are they charging more now with the $840? I don't know. That wasn't really addressed last night, that from what I could tell. So yeah, I'm going to get to that because we've purchased so much to try to fix this issue. And my point is with this story is, folks, this is pouring Drano down the sink. You're pouring Drano down the sink. And really what you should be doing is getting underneath the sink and replacing the pipes, okay, and unclogging it or doing something more permanent, a permanent fix, okay? And that's what the Bloomington City Council needs to focus on. And I get it. They want to, throw a Band-Aid on this as much as possible right now because it tastes really bad and it smells really bad and people are complaining, but they wouldn't be in this position right now had it not been for decades of Democrat mayors. We haven't had like a conservative, fiscally conservative mayor in Bloomington for at least 30 years. I've looked back. Pretty much all of the mayors have been liberal Democrats, or have at least acted like they are, with their voting and with their purchasing habits. Okay. So, like I said, it's ballooned. Like the Bloomington budget has ballooned into a behemoth. All right, I am going to get to that in just a little bit, but I do want to talk. Why don't we talk about this this lady here really quick, because there's some developments. Bloomington, a body of Bloomington. We talked about this story a little bit yesterday. To remind you, and I'm sorry I have to do this, I'm going to play the clip. Here we go.
You said I'm going to say it with my chest. Yeah, so there's a video so you can see that I am the one saying it. Your hatred is not welcome at Body of Bloomington. Your racism, fascism, homophobia, Christian nationalism, not welcome at Body of Bloomington. Bye.
I got to thinking about this. I was like, I said this on the program yesterday, most Americans are Christian nationalists. In fact, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they all swear in on Bibles, okay? Like our senator, like everybody swears in on a Bible, at least the president of the United States, that is. We're pretty much all Christian nationalists. Why? Well, that's kind of the Constitution. The Constitution was written while the Bible was open. Okay, we're a Judeo-Christian nation, and a Christian nationalist, as she says, nationalism, she won't allow it in her establishment, which I highly doubt Christians were going there anyway, folks. But Body of Bloomington, it's a pole dancing gym is what they call it. Although I've never been in a gym where they provide alcohol to people. And I'm going to get to that here in a second. But the Christian nationalism, all that it really is, folks, is the belief that you believe that this country should be governed and should legislate based off of the Christian Judea values. Okay, that's all this really is about. We have a president of the United States who swears in on the Bible. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. Would she allow Joe Biden in because he put his hand right there on that Bible? He's a Christian nationalist as well, I suppose. But I wanted to get to this because this is interesting. They changed their website. I threw it out there on social media, and I just started raising some questions about the establishment because I thought it was odd that they had like an intoxication policy. Their intoxication policy on their Body of Bloomington website. And like I said, this is a gym. I'm using air quotes. It's pole dancing, and you can go and pole dance and take classes for pole dancing. Okay. And like I said, this has been around since 2013. I saw that there were tons of yoga mats and everything. I feel like this has gotten right, and it changed ownership in 2020. The establishment, from what I can tell, according to prior photos, it wasn't that bad in 2013. Like, there's always going to be niche things that are just kind of odd, not your cup of tea. Pole dancing, bar classes, like, there's a line there where crosses over into just sexual deviancy, and I think that they're crossing over that line as they have these drag queen heels. They encourage people on their website to wear short clothes so that way their body sticks to the pole. And then you scroll back on their social media and you're like, oh, all of these women, in 2013, fully clothed, yoga mats, it looks like an actual fitness center. Now I'm looking at all of the photos and they're like having high heel night, drag queen looking heels, and the women are totally wearing short shorts and like crop tops, and yeah. So there's a way to go about this. I don't think that you can't outright just ban pole dancing, right? I'm not saying that, but there's a line, and I think that they've crossed it, especially when you look at their intoxication policy and their private parties that they're having. Okay, so intoxication. Here's what the policy says: you may bring adult beverages to our studio, but being intoxicated or highly inebriated on the premises is not allowed. Okay. So they're hosting private parties, and then they, on the same website, they admit that this is inherently sexual. Okay, what they're doing at this pole dancing facility. Okay, they say If you wish to film content in our studio other than the tricks and combos we teach you here, please be mindful of the fact that we are a studio that also teaches children and teenagers. Okay, so right there's a problem. You have an establishment allowing adults to bring alcohol into the building. There's also children involved. Okay, teens and children. Okay, you're allowing adults to bring into it's blurring some of the lines here. Okay, there's bars in Bloomington. They are advertised as such, and that's we're blurring lines. Okay, so there's children in the same place that in which adults are allowed to bring in alcohol. Okay. So I go on with this website. They say, please be mindful of the fact that we are a studio that also teaches children and teenagers, and posting content filmed at our studio that is overtly graphic or sexual. So right there's an admission here that some of the content that they're going to film is inherently sexual. Just don't post anything overtly sexual. Okay. It is not allowed, and it's a violation of our morality clause written into our lease, but it will also jeopardize our ability to continue holding classes for children. Okay, so there's problems everywhere. Okay, they promote this. Kai Overfelt, who you heard in the video there, is excited to uphold the reputation of a family feel in this wonderful studio. Okay, but you're hosting private parties, and you're assuming that they're going to be getting loud, as you will charge people who have noise complaints filed against them. If their neighbors file noise complaints, you're going to charge them like $50 or something like that, or a fee if you have a noise complaint against you for your private party. Okay, so we're having loud parties, potentially loud parties, with alcohol and pole dancing. Okay, and children are walking into this establishment as well. Now, this is what's the most interesting part. Okay, I posted this on social media and I just raised the question. I go, do they have an adult entertainment license if they're hosting private parties with alcohol and pole dancing? Or is this an adult entertainment? Are we hosting bachelorette parties? What are we doing here? Or do they have an adult entertainment license? No, there are no adult entertainment licenses in Bloomington. Do they have a bring your own booze license? No, there are no BYOB licenses issued in Bloomington. Okay. Now, that's not to say that they're doing anything illegal. I'm not saying that by allowing adults to come into the building and provide the alcohol. I don't know. Maybe they, for these private parties, they got with the city of Bloomington and got a special event license for alcohol. You can get like a special event and you can obtain a liquor license that way. Either way, it's interesting because this establishment, folks, shortly after I raised the question, are there adult entertainment licenses? Are there BYOB licenses being issued to this business that apparently is having private parties for adults who can bring alcohol? And there's pole dancing. Okay, so you see where this starts to blur a line here from a fitness gym. And I don't know about you, but I don't know many gyms, as alcohol prohibits your ability to reach a fitness peak. Okay, most gym classes, most gym instructors, fitness instructors I know would not be promoting the use of alcohol in their establishments. This place does, though. But this is the thing. Like, maybe they did get a special event license, liquor license. I've got no idea. But one thing to note here is that they changed their website shortly after I raised a couple of questions, like the adult entertainment license and like the BYOB license. Okay. Then they changed their website subsequently, like literally yesterday, as soon as I posted and raised some questions about it. They changed it, their intoxication policies, and they said, you may bring snacks and beverages to our studio. So notice how the previous language on the website was, you may bring adult beverages to our studio. Okay, but now they've changed that part of the website, their intoxication policy, and they said, you may bring snacks and beverages to our studio, but being intoxicated or inebriated on our premises is not allowed. Okay, so they changed their website, which indicates, or at least appears to be, an admission of guilt here. So that was an update I wanted to provide you. This is what Cities 92.9 does. We call it out, then people start to get a little frantic, get a little uncomfortable, start changing language on their websites, right? So that's what we did. Yeah, and I am not the law enforcement. I have no idea what's going on at Body of Bloomington. All I know is that very publicly on their website, they said that adults are bringing alcohol into an establishment. They're also training kids or teaching kids how to pole dance there and bringing kids into the same establishment that they're encouraging alcohol, or they're allowing alcohol onto the premises and allowing adults to bring it into the building. And unfortunately, we live in a world of rules, and we've got rules set up to define businesses so that way you, the parent, knows, hey, I can't take my kid here. They serve alcohol past, this is a bar, or this is an adult entertainment center or facility. We have to properly be labeling our businesses so that way we know what we're getting into when we walk in. Okay. That's what the licensing is for. And I don't know, maybe maybe they get special event licenses. I don't know. But the whole changing their website thing, that looks really, really bad, where they changed their website subsequently after. I just simply raised the question. I wonder if they have adult entertainment licenses. I wonder if they have liquor licenses. All right, I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk, Bloomington Normal. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Bye. That's gonna be like my new theme every morning. I'm just gonna be like, bye. Maybe I'll sign off the show with playing her bye again. Bye. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about this Illinois mom. She's totally livid. Like, the sexualization of our children has to stop. You know what I mean? Like pole dancing. Like, come on. There's got to be some other way to teach the kid about fitness, or to give them a creative outlet than allowing them on a pole, right? But whatever. I mean, that's totally up to you. Now, when you start to introduce alcohol into the mix in private parties that might get loud, and they're assuming that it's going to get loud, like they're hosting like bachelorette parties. I don't know what they're doing over there, right? If you're doing that, then you can't have kids there. You know what I mean? So I want to get to this woman. She's absolutely livid. This Illinois mom. Her name is Nicole. And she is at the Deerfield Public Schools. Okay, she went viral, and she's talking about how her child was allegedly forced to share a locker room with a biological male. Okay, so she has subsequently filed a complaint with the Department of Justice. She says that this school is in violation of Donald Trump's executive orders. So we're going to get to that story this morning. This is, of course, the school board meeting in which she was at. Before we get into all of that, let's get to City of Bloomington. Yeah, I want to get to this. The City of Bloomington, they had like this special meeting last night, and they approved the expenditure of like $557,000. Now, I'm going to total all of this up for you, and I'm going to put it on your screen. Okay, this is BLN News. They did these totals. Go check them out. But this is just for your math. Okay, so you can see the math here. Numbers is everything. And like I said, this is like pouring Drano down your sink and not actually fixing the problem, which is, hey, your sink is crap and you kind of need to change the piping at the bottom, right? And you just keep pouring Drano down it. And really what's happening is, everything's getting caught right there in that drain because the drain sucks. Okay, so Cat the troublemaker, keep it up. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so here we go. We've got the 556. That's last night's. Okay, so it's about $557,000. Then we had the $755,000. I'm rounding 63 about $1,000. Then we had $164,000. This is a total of a near 1.5 or over 1.5 million dollars, okay, that they've spent on this, just trying to fix the water problems, okay, attempting to fix the water problems. So they've spent $1.5 million on attempting to fix this already, okay. And I want to highlight this. This is an attempt to fix the water problems. Now, from what I understand, the transparency of the water has gotten better, so you can see through the water a little bit more. That's probably due to the filtration systems that they've gotten online. And I'm not going to like sit here and say like they shouldn't be spending this money. Yes, 100% they should be spending this money towards a permanent solution. Okay. I don't know how much time, but it's everything in government takes so much time. And that's the problem. And this is $1.5 million that never needed to be spent. Had you fixed it decades ago, had we transitioned off of the lake source water, we would have never had to spend this kind of money. And that's where I'm at with it. Plus, like I said, there was this shady thing that happened at the February council. They approved the 62. You'll see that on your screen here. Let me throw that up on the screen. The 62,500. They're right there in the middle of that calculation. They approved that for, like I said, the PAC, which is the PAC feed system. It's the powdered activated carbon. It treats the water. They approved that with this company. Okay, this expenditure with the company at $2,000 per ton. Okay, now last night they're doing more water treatment. Okay, now it's the same company, but on the agenda they framed it like this: the 142 per pound. Okay, $1 per, and then if you do the math, that totals out to 2,840 per ton. Okay, so the city is buying much more powdered carbon, okay, powdered activated carbon to treat the water, but they're buying it at a higher rate than they did in February. And that raises my eyebrows. Like, what's going on here? Is the company screwing you over? Are you being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar? Why, like, they didn't, like, they bid it out they went with the same company though. So they didn't bid out last night's expenditure to this company for the PAC. They did bid it out to that company back in February. So here we go. When are they going to fix the water, Cat? I don't know. I know that they're over $1.5 million into attempting to fix the water. And like I said, I can't say this enough. This is a Drano sink problem, okay? You know how you got a clog in your sink and you just buy some Drano and you pour it down the sink and you hope that fixes the issue, and then it doesn't fix the issue and you just keep buying the Drano? That's where we're at right now. You need to get into the bottom of the sink there, open up the cupboards, and change out the pipes. Okay, you need to change out the pipes. So switching from lake source, well, that's what I really think needs to happen. I know my municipality, they did it in the early 1990s, something like that. They switched, or they drilled some aquifer wells, and that's what, or maybe it's the early 1900s. I got to look that up, but they did it early on. Okay. They worked it out to where we're doing wells. Okay. Like I said, well water, or like this groundwater, right? Or you aren't doing the lake. It goes through a natural filtration process. It passes through things like rocks and soil. So there's a natural filtration process. You still might have to have some filters, but it goes through and it's just more sustainable because you're not relying on rainfall. Okay, so a couple of years ago in June, I mean, the lakes were very full, okay, because we had the June floods, okay, and this year, we're having what people call a drought. I didn't know we were in a drought, really. It just seemed like a normal like winter without a whole lot of snow, right? Um, so yeah, they're attempting to fix the water problem, but it's $1.5 million. I mean, they're now in the hole. And I don't think that we would have had to spend this had we had the conversation 20 years ago about changing from the lake source water and changing the root cause of the problem. So well, let's get to the expenditures, and I'll break these down for you. Kat, how are you getting to the 1.5 million number? Well, here's how. We've got the 755,000 about pack system that they bought. Okay, this was a recent cost. At the February 24th council meeting, they approved $62,500. Now, I brought this up. BLN News pointed it out. And this is really interesting. This is $2,000 a ton. Okay, so on their February 24th council meeting, they purchased this pack. Pack is powder activated carbon. I'm not a scientist. I'm not exactly sure how it works. You have to buy it by the ton, I guess, and it treats the water. Okay, powdered activated carbon, and it treats the water. So that purchase in February 24th was, put out for bid. Last night's wasn't. Okay, the extra, what was it, $557,000 is what I said that they had last night. So what was interesting is last night's cost was not calculated out by ton, but on the agenda they had it calculated out by per pound. So it was $1.42 per pound. So you calculate that out, that equals $2,840 per ton. Okay, so you do the math. So they're paying more than they did in February for the powdered or activated carbon, despite this being the exact same company. Now, maybe there's an explanation for it. I didn't see one. I don't know. Are they being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And if they're paying $840 more per ton than they did the previous month, are they getting screwed by the company? Okay. So, and did they fight to try to keep it at $2,000 per ton? Or did they just say, okay, whatever, company, you're charging us $840 more for the month of March, whatever, we'll just go for it. Okay. And were they trying to deceive you by putting this calculation? Do they think you're that dumb? Right? They put the calculation out there and they measured it out $1.42 per pound rather than measuring it out per ton. And did they try to deceive you in order to pass this last night? I don't know. It's just really interesting. And then, like I said, we've got the expenditure, the nearly $164,000 that was made on February 10th. So let's break this down. 557,000, 755,000, and I'm rounding. 62,500, 164,000, grand total of over 1.5 million. Okay, so, and the point I'm bringing to you today is that this is this is like flying by the seat of your pants trying to fix this when we could have fixed it 20 years ago and we didn't have to spend this $1.5 million had they fixed it years ago and just spent the money up front right away. And now we're probably going to have to do the permanent fix on top of the temporary fixes. You know what I mean? So if we had just done the permanent fix years ago, decades ago, we wouldn't be in this issue where we're paying for the temporary fixes to get you the clean water now and the tasty water now. And also we're going to have to do this permanent fix likely. So it's costing you more, and it really sucks because you work so hard. And, they're just going about this like dinguses. I'm sorry, but it's just so dumb. All right, I got to take a quick break. I want to get to this Illinois mother. She is filing a civil rights complaint. She says that her daughter at this Deerfield public school, this is an Illinois school, her daughter was forced to change in front of transgender students, okay, or a transgender student. So we're going to get to that. You're also going to be paying a new sparkler tax. So 4th of July, right around the corner, one of my favorite holidays. Independence Day. I don't like calling it 4th of July. Independence Day. You're going to be paying more for your sparklers because there's a new tax likely that's going to get passed, and the state legislature is pushing it through. So you're going to pay more for your sparklers. All right, I've got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Yeah, we have crappy gray water. It's not good. Yeah. I mean, even with the wells, you're still like going to run into this problem where your municipality might not be treating the water the way they should be, or might not have as many filters online. I'd have to look into Leroy and, what they've got going on there. But it's going to be way more efficient. You're not going to get algae blooms in your water. That's what source water does, especially when it gets low like that. So you're going to get these algae blooms, and you're essentially going to be drinking lake water because it gets so low, and that's when you start to get the stuff from the lake. Yeah, I don't have all of the answers. I'm sure I would love to look into Leroy, see what they've got going on. Maybe they don't have enough filtration systems, crappy gray water, or maybe they're not treating it either, treating the water. And it depends on what your municipality is treating it with, right? Some municipalities will treat it with harmful chemicals, right, that are really harmful to you. So, crappy gray water or water that's treated with fluoride. um it kind of depends on what way you look at this. Do you really want the treated water? Now this is issue because you're consuming, I can't imagine that's good for you, consuming algae blooms. They say it's safe to drink. Okay, but I know, let's add a new tax and buy every house a Brita filter. Yeah. I can think of like a liberal. Nice. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, for $1.5 million, we probably could have bought every single citizen multiple in Bloomington, multiple Brita filters. Yeah, but it probably wouldn't do anything because the algae is just that bad in the water. But I like where you're thinking. Yes, 100%. Let's just buy everyone a Brita filter. Yeah, that's what I would say for your Leroy water. If you've got bad Leroy water, most likely, like especially smaller municipalities, they're not going to have a ton of filtration systems online. Just because it's costly. So a small town like Leroy, most likely they're kind of working with what they've got. But it's better than Bloomington water, I can tell you that. And why? It's because they're using the wells. I told you I'd get you that answer on LinkedIn, so I'm going to go find that real quick. But go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. We're going to come back with this Illinois mom. We're going to get to her. I also want to talk about the sparklers going up in price. Yes, like anyone buys their fireworks in Illinois. Chris, you are on one this morning. I'm weak. That's hilarious. Yeah, everybody I know goes to Indiana and they purchase their fireworks there and then come back. But I don't know, things like sparklers, like ground fountains and things like that, they're going to go up in price. Now, there is an argument to be made now that they've collected this tax. So it's a tax that goes to the Illinois Department of Revenue. And the Illinois Department of Revenue will then disperse that to their, you guessed it, firefighter pension fund that's unfunded. Okay, it's an unfunded liability that the state has. So they're going to put it towards that fund. Okay, so I highly doubt that they're going to ban sparklers, which has always been talked about in the state. Banning sparklers or banning little tiny fireworks, because we've already got the strict firework laws surrounding the ones that go up in the air and pop. But you can still go into the grocery stores and buy these like little fountain type things that you put on the ground, and like they're like little firecracker type things. You can still go buy those. But those now are going to be really costly. Why? Because there's a sales tax, and then there's an additional tax Okay, this has to be separate of the sales tax that the business owner has to calculate out, which is annoying. Yeah, most grocery stores probably don't want to go through the freaking hassle. Okay, so they don't even put them in their grocery stores anymore. But I used to, I remember when we used to go to Dollar General, we used to go to like Burcott's, we used to go buy these fountains or these little tiny sparklers. I don't see them really too much anywhere, probably because there's multiple taxes and things that you got to do, regulations in order to even sell these little fountains. But anyway, that tax money is going to go to the Illinois pension fund. So it kind of secures the fountains not being banned or sparklers being banned in Illinois. Because if it's benefiting the state and if it's, contributing to their mess, essentially, which is the unfunded pension liability, if it's contributing to that, then they're not going to try to get rid of it. Imagine if all that weed money actually went to the schools. Where is it going? Yes, John, somebody said it. Yeah, not to mention there's all kinds of taxes on gaming and fees that gaming companies have to have. So like, like the slot machines and things like that, there's taxes there, and they actually, I think, saw a tax increase, like a corporate sales tax or corporate income tax increase. Okay, so the gaming companies, they saw a hefty tax increase, I think just last year. I'd have to look that up, but yeah, I have no idea where the money's. It was a big old scam. I've got no idea where the money's going, to be honest with you. Administration, salaries in the state government, for your state government to balloon. Woo! Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. I want to get to this story. This is about a mom. She filed a civil rights complaint with the DOJ. Okay, so this is an Illinois mom. Her name's Nicole. She told the Deerfield Public Schools that she has filed a federal civil rights complaint over this incident where her daughter was allegedly forced to share a locker room with a biological male. She's 13 years old, the daughter. Okay. And she says that this is obviously in direct violation of President Donald Trump's Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports executive order. Take a listen. Here we go.
My name is Nicole Georges, and I'm here to demand that the locker rooms and bathrooms at District 109 be designated as biological male and biological female, as there already is a gender-neutral option. The girls want their locker rooms and bathrooms back. They want their privacy back. This is why I'm here tonight. My 13-year-old daughter's well-being and mental health and privacy is at stake. This nightmare began on February 5th when my daughter was using the girls' bathroom and was stunned that a biological male student was using it as well. She came home frightened and was extremely upset. I asked her to talk with her teachers and find out more information. She was told by the administration that a student can use the bathroom as well as a female locker room because they now identify as female. I was sent an email to the teachers involved and received a call from Principal Wegley. He verbally reiterated that under Joanna Ford's direction and their legal counsel that the student could use both the locker room and bathroom. I expressed that the school was in clear violation of federal policy. The Trump administration issued an executive order restricting biological males from participating in sports and accessing female locker rooms. That day, I filed a civil rights complaint on behalf of my daughter with the Department of Justice. It has now been referred to the Department of Education. This is my daughter's story and the story of many other young girls who have been forced at the difficult age to do something they know and most adults know is wrong. Do the right thing, Deerfield, and give these girls their locker room and bathrooms back.
Well, good for her. So Nicole Georges, she said that the situation, according to Fox News, worsened when her daughter and other classmates refused to change into her uniform during physical education because the transgender student was present, and the girls and like all the girls didn't want to do this. Okay, she claimed that the following day, school administrators pulled the girls aside and made them change into their uniform. Okay, and said, "Hey, no, this individual now identifies as a female. Too bad. You don't want to change in front of this individual. Oh, you're gonna have to, right? Essentially." So The assistant superintendent for student services, Joanna Ford, the assistant principal, Kathy Ventress, and multiple other teachers came into the girls' locker room, making them change into the uniform. This went on all week. Okay, so all of these administrators and teachers, they went into the locker room and forced them to change in front of this transgender individual. That's what this sounds like. So as part of Nicole's speech there, she demanded that the district move forward with designating facilities for biological males and biological females. Hey, you need to designate the facilities male, female, and that needs to be the way we go forward here. And you need to give the girls their bathrooms and locker rooms back. Nicole appeared on America Reports last week, and she expressed her biggest concern regarding the situation. Quote, this is what Nicole says. This sets such a dangerous precedent for girls everywhere by allowing men into safe places. My biggest concern is that an adult, a biological male that hasn't transitioned, can freely access women's bathrooms and locker rooms, putting their safety and privacy at risk. This is just common sense. Yeah. Well, good for Nicole. She went up there and she talked with the Deerfield Public School. She used her 3-minute public comment and she informed them that they were going to be hearing from the DOE, the Department of Ed, about how they are enforcing really these girls to change in a locker room with a biological male, these 13-year-old girls. So I'm going to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat. I do want to talk about sparklers. That's going to go up. The cost of sparklers is going to go up likely if this bill passes. It's a tax on consumers for fountains, not like the stick sparklers, but the fountains. So they're on the ground, you light them. Somebody commented, they go, yeah, I don't know anybody who buys fireworks in Illinois. Most everybody just goes to Indiana to buy them. Yeah. I'm going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to be talking a little bit about the sales tax. I know that you're really excited for this. I know I am. Do you need another reason to vote no on this local sales tax increase? So this is interesting. BLN News pointed this out. the 1% local sales tax increase went into effect in 2016. Okay, so there was we're likely going to see another local sales increase in 2026. Like I said, there's also going to be a local grocery tax probably. Governor J.B. Pritzker with the state grocery tax, he eliminated the state grocery tax, to give himself like kind of a kudos or a pat on the back, like, hey, look at me, I eliminated the state grocery taxes, I care about you. That's Governor J.B. Pritzker. But really what ultimately happened was the state stopped collecting it, and now the local municipalities are going to be able to collect it, because really what that state grocery tax did, it went into the local government distributed fund, and then it was supposed to go back to the local municipalities, so that way they could do basic infrastructure and things like that. Now they're going to institute their own grocery tax. Okay. Now, do I believe that they need the grocery tax? No, absolutely not. Most local municipalities have plenty of money. Okay. They don't need any more. Okay. Than they've already got. And we're going to get to some of these numbers where this shocked me, actually. Now, I've told you before multiple times that the state of Illinois, we have the second highest property taxes in the country. Statewide average tax rate is 2.11%. That's nearly double the national average. Okay. Now in McLean County, the median property tax rate is 2.62%. Okay. So that's more than the statewide. We have more than the statewide average. Okay. Our average property tax rate in McLean County, 2.62% about. And that's more than the statewide, okay, averages. So McLean County is significantly higher than the national property tax rate and the Illinois state property tax rate. So averages. Not to mention, this is an interesting statistic. According to BLM News, the sales tax in Bloomington and Normal is higher than 82% of Illinois localities. So that is shocking. We're paying more sales tax than pretty much every other neighborhood, right? And we're paying more in McLean County for our property taxes than pretty much everybody else in the state. Probably outside of that is like Cook County, maybe Woke County has a little bit higher property tax, but we're paying significantly higher property taxes than the statewide average. Okay. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. Coming up, if you really want to pay super, super high sales tax, go ahead and vote yes. Vote yes for the McLean County Schools. You're already paying, and this was a jaw-dropping number I saw on BLM News this morning. I couldn't believe it. The sales tax in Bloomington and in Normal is higher than 82% of other local Illinois localities. So that means Bloomington Normal, in comparison to all of our other neighborhoods in Illinois, are paying some of the highest sales tax. Okay. So the sales tax in Bloomington Normal is higher than 82% of other Illinois localities. Not to mention, I've told you this before, Illinois' second highest property taxes in the country. The statewide average is double than the national average, and McLean County is higher than the statewide and national, so significantly higher than both the national averages and the state averages when it comes to the property tax rate. So we're paying higher property taxes than the average statewide average rate. So I'm going to get to that here in just a second, as if you needed another reason to vote no on the sales tax. I know you don't, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, because there were the last local sales tax increase went into effect 2016. And this was and that was supposed to be paid, that money was supposed to go towards mental health. Okay. That actually paid for the new addition to the jail. We're going to talk about that. But, in 2026, it's likely that your sales tax, your local sales tax is going to go up as part of the negotiations that went on with the eliminating that state grocery tax. Also, your local municipalities are probably going to institute a local grocery tax. So, I mean, they're just going to nickel and dime you. And I do want to talk about these sparkler situation because there's a bill right now. It's called the Ground-Based Sparkler Purchasers Excise Act. Tax Act. It's going to impose a 6% tax on consumers purchasing ground-based sparklers. So ground-based sparklers, this is not the one you wave like the Harry Potter wand, okay? This is the one that's on the ground, the fountains, okay, for personal use beginning July 1st, 2025. So they like this is going to be a tax like this 4th of July, okay, if you want your fountains, okay? Most people don't even buy fireworks. I don't even really see them in the grocery store so much, but the measure requires these entities to collect this tax and then send it to the Department of Revenue, the Illinois Department of Revenue. And then from there, the tax is basically going to help the state fund various programs and benefit firefighters. Okay, so, and by benefit firefighters, I mean go towards the unfunded pension liability that we have for our firefighters in the state. And I'll get to the numbers here in just a second, but Julie Heckman, she's the executive director of the American Pyrotechnics Association. She said, quote, I don't know if it's a benefit to the firework industry. I mean, obviously, it's one more thing that they're responsible for doing, but this is probably an incentive to keep the sale of sparklers in the state legal because there's been talk about that where we're going to ban sparklers or where we're going to ban, fountains, and we're not even going to let those let those things be sold here in the state, right? So now, we're looking ahead here. If the sale of sparklers or the sale of these fountains, they benefit the state, most likely the state isn't going to try to ban them and the sale can continue because it's benefiting the state. I want to talk about Heckman saying and explain that sparklers generates revenue. And the state legislators, they're going to be less likely to ban things like ground sparklers or fountains, and said that the additional tax has to be separate from whatever the sales tax is. So it's going to be pretty expensive to buy these like little fountain things. 6% of the sales goes to the Department of Revenue on top of the sales tax. So this is House Bill 2851. It's in the sales tax subcommittee. And we'll finally know kind of how much of these things, like I said, I don't even think that these things are really sold too much in the state. We'll finally have a pretty good idea of how many of these ground sparklers are sold in the state. And there's other states have done this where they try to benefit firefighters or education, emergency responders. They try to benefit those organizations or those organizations and firefighters and things because and that makes sense that the tax should go to that. But here's the thing. This is kind of probably going towards the unfunded pension liability, okay? So according to Illinois Public Pension Fund Association, as of 2023, unfunded liabilities for Illinois' downstate police and fire pension plans totaled approximately $12 billion. Okay, so you see what the state's doing here. They screwed up very badly all these years, and we've got a huge pension liability, and that's just as of 2023, by the way. So these numbers are so much more now. $12 billion, this unfunded pension liability. And you see what the state's doing now. They screwed up. They're not funding their pensions properly, and they haven't had a balanced budget, and they're not balancing their finances correctly. And this is what happens when you have the unfunded pension liability. And now they're trying to fix it with being hard on our Illinois businesses. Okay, so this is a 6%. They have to calculate it. They have to send it to the Illinois department. So not only are they having to jump this hurdle of getting people to purchase these now that they're, way more expensive, okay, because they have to add a tax onto them. They have to jump that hurdle as a business in order to sell it. But they also have to calculate it. They have to send it to the Illinois Department of Revenue. So this is burdening business even further. Those in the firework industry or those that want to sell these little fountain things. So yeah, they screwing over businesses because they've messed up with the pension liability. All right, I gotta take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. I didn't see that article, but I wouldn't doubt that that's probably what's going on. I mean, right now, there's also a bill that they're trying to push through. I mean, the most wackiest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I don't know what you think of this, Tim. Forcing people to vote, like similar to jury duty. You know how like you are selected for jury duty, and if you don't show up, there's consequences for that. The same thing would happen here in the state of Illinois if this measure is enacted if you don't register to vote, right? Now, they've kind of waived the penalties for this as of right now, but they're actually looking to make it a civic duty to go vote. Okay, so you would automatically, like it just for you existing in the state of Illinois, you're automatically going to be registered to vote, and they would force you into voting. Okay, they like say, hey, it's your civic duty, and if you don't vote, there's no penalties right now for that, but they're trying to recognize voting as a civic duty. So in a couple of years, most likely those penalties will come because that's how Illinois does things. You know, the Illinois legislator, it's just this constant like we'll do an inch here, we'll do an inch here, and then they go a mile with it, you know. So with this, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they tax at this point. They can tax you on your on you breathing. Okay, I wouldn't doubt it. They're going to tax the sunshine. They're going to tax the trees. If you want to enjoy some sunshine every morning, they'll probably tax you for that. They dream about taxing you. Why? Because they want their pensions. They want their hefty pensions. Look at Barry Riley's pension, $200,000. Okay, he's going to do everything he can to get this local sales tax. Okay, pass this 1% local sales tax. Why? Because he wants his pension. And this is why they tax you. It's the public sector. These are people who don't want to work. These are people who don't want to pay for anything. For example, somebody had earlier in the show had said, you know, where's all that marijuana money going? More drugs, actually, to answer your question. So the weed tax money probably all going towards paying for state workers Ozempic, which is actually something that the Illinois legislature did, where they are paying for the Ozempic of state employees. Not to mention one Ozempic, very, very costly. It's an insane amount of money if you want to get on Ozempic. Number two, it's not even really healthy for you. Instead of telling our state workers, because they have a state health insurance plan, okay, that they contribute to, but there's also tax dollars, you know, that is taken from you and I to pay for their health insurance, okay, because they're doing a public service. They're not. I don't know about you, but I bring this up every single time. Anytime you interact with government, do you have less of a headache or more of a headache? Just simple question. You know, anytime you deal with government, literally anytime, whether that be the United States Postal Service, whether that's the DMV or the Social Security Office, or I mean, it's never easy. Or applying for benefits. And maybe you're a foster parent. It's really tough to navigate DCFS and all of the regulations and trying to get what you should get as a foster parent. You know, it's hard navigating government, and it just causes more headaches than it's really worth, to be honest with you. So I'll tell you where all that money went. It went towards Ozempic. Let me actually look up the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. They didn't even know how much it was going to cost, but Ozempic for state employees. $300 million. Potentially, now that's a rough estimate, 300 to $461 million. Okay, so this is what we're looking at, like let's go $461 million, okay? That's how much it costs to pay for Ozempic. More of a headache. Yeah, I mean 100%. So that's how much it costs, $461 million That's how much it costs to just provide Ozempic to state employees. Okay, that's how much it's going to cost the taxpayers. Okay, um, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, why the hell are we doing that? Tell them, tell the state workers, tell these people in the public sector to put the frickin' sandwich down, put the frickin' froyos down, whatever they're buying, okay? Put it down and exercise. Eat a celery stick. You know what I mean? Like, let's not charge people $461 million so that way you can have your Ozempic, which is probably going to wind up killing you anyway. Woo! Welcome to the program. Sono 5 a.m. Yes, temps. They're still kind of cold this morning. I got my hoodie on. I got my hot coffee, and I got my hot news, and we are ready to go because I want to talk about that local sales tax for the schools. As if you needed another reason. You know, student enrollment is down. District administrator salaries are up. The teachers aren't getting paid really anymore. It's usually just the district administrators, and it should tell you all you really need to know. Barry Riley, he's the one who's spearheading this initiative. It's a PAC to get this local 1% sales tax through. He's spearheading it, and he has a pension of $200,000. I don't think I need to tell you again, $200,000, by the way, to having managed 9 schools, and then you look over to the community over, Peoria superintendent only making like $99,000 to manage 25 schools. Okay, so just totally unequitable. You know, I know the left loves that that word. It's just totally unfair to have a superintendent who's making that much in pension money. We have an unfunded pension liability. Barry knows that. Barry Riley knows that. So he's doing everything he can to get this through so that way his pension is secure. That's what this, I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. They raise taxes because they've screwed up our pensions so badly. You know, what I always say, it's the pension, stupid. Look at the pension, unfunded pension liability. They keep taxing you into oblivion because they've gotten us into this mess. The state of Illinois. So anyway, the local 1% sales tax is if you needed another reason. The kids can't read or write. They can't do math at grade level at District 87, Unit 5, and pretty much all of these schools. Okay, they're not excelling. They're not what I would say are. They're not being excellent in these schools. The kids. Despite receiving more money than they ever have in years past. Like it's insane how much money they've gotten. Property taxes going up. The large portion of your property tax bill goes to the school district. Okay. So they want sales tax now. The local 1% sales tax increase that went into effect in 2016, that was for mental health. Okay. That was money for mental health. And this is according to BLN News. It really actually went to pay for the jail edition. Okay, so you guys remember when the sales tax went into effect in 2016, the increase. So since Illinois rewrote the criminal justice laws, the Safety Act, making it impossible to hold offenders really, this is kind of stupid. The increase. It wound up not really. I mean, I love the jail. It's great. It's a wonderful facility. It'd be great to use it, right? We don't use it here in the state of Illinois because of the Safety Act. And you're probably paying. Well, we know that you're paying this additional sales tax increase for a mostly empty jail. Okay, so when the addition is paid off, will that 1% sales tax increase go away that we had in 2016? Doubtful, because the big government is never really in the business of taking taxes away or decreasing taxes. Okay, they're just going to keep it. And I don't know when this is going to be paid off, the addition to the jail. Most government project bonds, according to BLN News, last for at least 20 years. It could be up to 40 years. So far, I saw the number total for that additional or that addition to the jail was like $40 million. So I don't know when it's going to be paid off, but even when it's paid off, most likely that 1% sales tax is there to stay. Now, according to WGLT, Lorenz, she's quoted in the article here, and she makes a whole lot of sense. So take a listen to this. Kathleen Lorenz, she raised concerns about the 1% sales tax shared between the town, the city. This is the one that was in 2016. Town, city, and the county that's designed to fund local behavioral health and public safety initiatives. It's a big pot of money with a balance of $19 million at the end of 2024. That had around $19 million at the end of 2024. So that's a big pot of money, $19 million, the 1% sales tax. So think about that when you're going for the 1% sales tax for it's probably going to be pretty comparable. It's going to be in the millions. So these schools are going to be getting millions and millions of dollars. Okay. At the end of 2024, much of that money was already spoken for through debt payments to pay off the new county jail. Okay, this is according to WGLT. They're talking about how, hey, end of 2024, we had this big pot of money from this sales tax increase that we implemented in 2016. It's $19 million, but it's kind of already accounted for because we're going towards the payments to pay off the addition to the jail that we're probably not even really using because of the Safety Act. So the actual fund is closer to $4 million, okay, county officials said. So we got $4 million there. Lorenz, she says, we need to be more accountable. We need to be transparent as to where this money is being spent. Okay. And we should do, and I love this, the public annual updates for the town council from county officials. So we should be doing just public annual updates for the town council. Lorenz said she's open to a potential cap on how much money that tax can bring in. Yes. So that would mean, $19 million, let's cap that at whatever the debt is for that jail or whatever, let's institute a cap. I lay that at the feet of the current mayor. As your next mayor, I will not allow such a lack of transparency and lack of accountability on this topic. That's what Lorenz said. Lorenz is not the first to question what the community is getting for that money besides the new jail. Like I said, is the jail even really needed? Probably not because of the Safety Act, but it's already there. We just need to fill the jail, right? County officials recently reorganized how these mental and behavioral health spending decisions are made, and part of over frustrations with the efficacy of the former structure. Koo said he shares some of those frustrations. He is encouraged by the recent changes to the county board. So yes, it became more blue, and he wants mental health action plan altogether, and he's actively working on the issue. Okay, so instead of like going all towards the jail, right, are there other ways we can address the mental health issue and put that money towards a mental health action plan? That's what Chris Koos is saying. But Lorenz is not the first question. I want to repeat this. Lorenz is not the first to question the community, what the community is getting for that money besides the new jail. County officials recently reorganized how these mental and behavioral health spending decisions are made, in part over frustrations with the efficacy of the former structure. We got the $19 million. A lot of that's eaten up with the payments for the jail. Should there be a cap? I like the idea of, hey, let's be more let's have more accountability. Let's be more transparent with that money. Let's show the people how we're spending their mental health sales tax money that was passed in 2016. And that's great. What's not great is that Bloomington Normal has some of the highest sales tax in all of Illinois. Okay, 82% of other Illinois localities, our sales tax is higher than those. Okay, so out of all the Illinois neighborhoods, 82% of them are paying less than what Bloomington is. Okay, Bloomington Normal is. According to BLN News, there's a site and there's a calculation there, and wow. Yeah. So you pay not only the highest sales taxes around Illinois, right, and as being a part of Bloomington Normal, but you're also paying some of the highest property taxes being in McLean County. The state of Illinois, highest property taxes in the nation, or at least the second highest. The statewide average of the tax rate is 2.11%. Okay, that's the statewide average. You want to know what McLean County's is? It's 2.62%. So we're way higher than the national average. We're way higher than the state average when it comes to the tax rate. Schools want you to vote for a 1% sales tax. Like, and then they'll say, oh, we're going to decrease property taxes with that, with zero guarantees. They haven't passed anything from what I can tell that says, oh yes, we're going to guarantee to bring down those property, or bring down our ask for your property taxes, because at the end of the day, you can't really promise that. Okay, the increases to the assessed value guarantee your property taxes are going to go up. They're never going to decrease the rate, the property tax rate. Okay. And there's a myriad of ways local school boards can claim they didn't raise your property tax or taxes. They'll claim that the assessor did it because your assessed value went up, your property taxes went up. They'll keep the tax rate the same, the tax rate that they ask of the McLean County who dishes out your money to them. They might ask for, a little less in the property taxes temporarily, but there is no guarantee that taxes are going to decrease. They won't. Okay. I know they won't, because they're never going to decrease the rate, the property tax rate. They're going to keep it the same. They're not in the business of lowering. They're never going to do that because government never decreases taxes. Okay. You already pay the very, very high sales taxes. As I told you, 82% of the state is paying less than you in Bloomington normal. They're never, ever going to decrease because government never decreases taxes. All right, I got to take a quick break, but you're listening, Conservative Cat. One quick thing about the SAFE-T Act. The SAFE-T Act obviously limited pretrial detention. So, this is no cash bail. It was enacted in 2021. The jail, the construction on the addition there, that we needed the 1% sales tax for 19 million. A big chunk of that is being eaten up by the payments for the addition. Okay, the construction for that addition started in 2017. The addition of the jail, it increased inmate capacity to 400. Okay, from what I can tell, or at least that's the numbers I grabbed. Increase that capacity to 400. I wonder how much of that capacity is being filled, because jails everywhere. This isn't just in McLean County. They aren't filling their jails. Why? Because the SAFE-T Act is the pretrial detention. You can't hold them. Okay, there's no cash bail, right? So they get in, get out. That's what it's like here in the state of Illinois. So jails, they're not even, and Governor J.B. Pritzker's talking about building 2 of them up north. And it's just like, why? We have the SAFE-T Act. You know what I mean? We're going to be right back. I want to talk about a woman who identifies as a turtle. Yes. And she serves as Oregon's mental health advisory board. Like, if McLean County comes out with a mental health advisory board, well, they do. They have like a behavioral health counselor or whatever. Your tax dollars go to people like this ultimately. Okay. If they, say, they reevaluate, like Chris Cruz said, that we should reevaluate, or what did he say? Share some of the frustration. He encouraged by the recent changes on the boards, he wants a new mental health action plan. So what if that mental health action plans includes creating an advisory board, and then you have wackos sitting on it like they do in Oregon? Okay, Oregon, they've got this mental health advisory board, and they've got this woman sitting on it who identifies as quite literally a turtle. Okay. It just winds up happening in government where they come up with these nice, cute little plans, and then ultimately they fail epically, like in this case. So we're going to get to that story. I also want to talk about Marco Rubio, who's on with Margaret Brennan from CBS. He exposes how little the left and the media care about free speech. They don't care about it at all. And Marco Rubio exposes how that's true, how they don't care about it. And Jasmine Crockett, she's lashing out against Fetterman. I actually brought up John Fetterman yesterday. I said that, the left, if you're not a part of their club, they will just completely, like the other day, I was reading Chrisdale Abel, McLean County. She was like so mad at Dick Durbin because he didn't vote for, or he did vote with the continuing resolution, the bill, the spending, I think it's the spending bill. And he voted yes with it and he joined Republicans. And she was like so mad about that. And like now they're talking about running somebody against Dick Durbin, although he is totally leftist and usually is, voted with the extreme left on every other bill except this one because he didn't want to shut down the government, is what Dick said. And they're a big mad at him, and they're big mad at John Fetterman. So Jasmine Crockett, who I'm assuming is going to be the Democratic Party leader, she's just been out there, and she looks like she's inherently going to be the leader of the Democrat Party, which was a bad move. I don't know who decided that, but she lashed out at John Fetterman. And we're going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Good morning. I appreciate you being here. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friend. Good morning, Chad. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Tim. I appreciate y'all being here this morning. We are going to get back to the story with the mental health advisory board member in Oregon. You have to be careful because, it might sound nice to have a mental health advisory board. It's like, oh, you're going to be combating mental health, or you're going to be combating the problems surrounding mental health in your community, in the state, in this case. It sounds great, but then you wind up having wackos on this, and then it just is totally ineffective. So we're going to be right back. Smash that like button and share this out with your friends. You got to be careful about who you put on these mental health boards. Good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat Cities 92.9, the News and Talk Bloomington Normal. Yeah, there's all kinds of mental health advisory boards that we've got here in McLean County. So far, I don't think anybody on the McLean County mental health advisory boards and councils. There's a behavioral health council, all of this coordinating council. I don't think anybody identifies as a turtle. Okay. Now maybe that's wrong of me to assume. But in Oregon, their mental health advisory board, there's a board member who identifies as a turtle. Take a listen to this. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, turtle and pronouns. Pronouns are turtle and they, them.
Hello, everybody. It's JD. I use they, them, or turtle for pronouns.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, they, them, and turtle for pronouns in the Springfield, Eugene area. Hello, everybody. It's JD.
What? I feel so bad for the turtles out there. I feel sympathetic to the turtles out there that, they have to deal with this individual trying to claim that that she's one of them. Okay. So according to Fox News, a member of the state panel advising the director of Oregon Health Authority, okay, there's so many titles, so many groups, so many councils. It's just it's just too much government. Okay. But there's a member of the state panel advising the director of Oregon's Health Authority on best practices and policies in mental health. And this individual identifies as a turtle. You heard me correctly. JD Holt, also goes by JD Terrapin on Facebook, is one of the roughly 24 consumers on OHS's Consumer Advisory Council, so OCAC. It's complicated. It's just so that everybody gets paid money and everybody gets to serve on a board and feel special, right? So the council, established by the administrative statute, is appointed by the OHA director, Sijal Hathi. Okay, and was appointed. So the director was appointed by the governor, Tina Kotek, a Democrat. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing all this up is, okay, so you got the director appointed the turtle, and the director was appointed by the governor, Tina Kotek. Okay, who's the Democrat governor of Oregon. Okay, so the purpose, I guess, of the OCAC, the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council, their purpose is to advise the director, Sijal Hathi, on how the state can go about mental health services, and including through investigations and review of current practices. Okay, so their whole thing, this whole Consumer Advisory Council that she sits on, the OCAC, the turtle, sits on this council. Their whole thing is to advise the director on how to best implement mental health services for Oregons or Oregon residents. Okay. So if the state wishes to help people on mental health issues, the least they could do is probably have a board that doesn't identify as an entirely different species than human. Okay, so this individual actually identifies as a turtle. She feels deep down inside that she is a turtle and she is not a human. You are a human. I think it's safe to say that you're a human. The fact that the turtle has a problem with that is a personal issue and mentally deranged and should never be affirmed. But she wants to be affirmed. She's demanding people in the Zoom calls affirm her identity as a turtle. For example, hello, everybody. It's JD. I use they, them, and turtle for my pronouns. What? Oh, boy. And she's a part of this council. She said this during a virtual meeting, that she uses turtle for her pronouns. On Gender Wiki, a website that documents a list of non-binary genders, describes turtle gender. Okay, so go check out Gender Wiki if you're bored today. This is apparently a gender. So when people say there's more than two gender, I guess this is what they're talking about. There's a tortoise gender out there. Sometimes it's called tortoise gender or turtle gender. And this is somebody who feels like they are gender connected to turtles. Although it makes no sense, the left demands that you affirm turtles. Okay, that's what the left demands. That's what she's demanding in these virtual meetings. And clearly, this individual is not qualified to be serving on a mental health advisory board. Okay. And this is what happens when you glorify mental illness. And the fact that they think that they're the compassionate ones for affirming this speaks volumes as to how little they actually care about helping people in mental health. Okay, this is glorifying mental illness. They think that they're compassionate for not telling this individual that she is not a turtle. You are not the compassionate one if you affirm this lie that she is a turtle. If they truly want to advise people with mental health issues to better themselves, the last thing that you should be doing is picking people to serve on councils who make these decisions who feel like they're not even part of the human species. Okay, these people are not in it to help anyone. I think that this is just a board, really, that tries to pat people on the back and make you feel special. Okay, and they are so beholden to this altar of inclusivity that they forget that there's things called logic, facts, and being morally correct. Okay, it's immoral to tell somebody that they're a turtle. Okay, so I've got to take a quick break. My head hurts just from delivering that story. It's just so confusing to me. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Marco Rubio. I want to tell you about what he did on CBS Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan. He's the Secretary of State. You guys know that, Marco Rubio. He explained free speech very slowly to her, a couple of weeks ago, and now recently. He talked about this Mohammed Khalili guy. He's a Palestinian supporter. I hate to say Palestinian supporter. He's a Hamas supporter, and he was the leader of a lot of these encampments that took place at a New York university. And he's kind of at the center of this controversy where Donald Trump revoked his green card. Okay. We're going to talk about that because I'm sorry, but if you're rallying Jews up and terrorizing them and forcing them to barricade themselves in a library, and you're here on a temporary status, a green card, we're going to take that away from you because that's not cool to terrorize and attack Jewish students on this Columbia University, New York, in New York City. Where he was the ringleader, this guy whose green card was taken away by Donald Trump. And people are saying, oh, well, this guy who had the green card, Mohammed Khalili or whatever his name is, he's expressing free speech and he shouldn't have his green card taken away because of free speech. There's a big difference between terrorizing communities on the basis of their race and free speech. Okay, number one. This isn't anything to do about free speech. The green card was taken away because he terrorized Jewish students, or at least he was the ringleader of the group who terrorized Jewish students, and he got a privilege taken away from him, which was his green card. It was a temporary status. He wasn't a U.S. citizen. It wasn't like he took away his U.S. citizenship, Donald Trump. He took away a privilege, which was the green card, a temporary status. And a lot of times these green cards, you have to abide by rules in order to keep them. Okay, this is hey, you have to follow our rules. You have to prove that you're an upstanding citizen in order to obtain permanent legal status and to keep your green card, to keep your temporary status. So I'm going to be right back with that. You're listening to Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We're going to be getting to Marco Rubio here in just a second. I want to talk about this Mohammed Khalil, his green card. It was revoked. To recap, October 7th, 2023, Israel was the victim of a heinous terrorist attack at the hands of Hamas. October 8th, 2023, and I'm paraphrasing, progressive students and at progressive colleges and progressive cities everywhere in America throughout America thought that rallying together and terrorizing and attacking Jewish students and preventing them from entering buildings, they thought that that would be a good idea on October 8th. I'm paraphrasing. I mean, because they were asking for it, the Jewish students. I guess that's why they felt justified into taking to campus and terrorizing them. Jewish American students were terrorized, attacked, and prevented from entering buildings. Columbia University in New York. Figures, it's New York. This was the worst, okay, where all these encampments were happening. And this was, I believe, where the Jewish students were trapped in the library. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Yeah, I just spit out my coffee reading this comment. It was hilarious. Somebody messaged me, Jen. She says, every time I think of Pritzker, I think of Aloysius O'Hare. So if you guys don't know who Aloysius O'Hare is, the Lorax, and this is such an accurate representation of Governor J.B. Pritzker. He looks just like him. If you don't know who it is, you can go look it up. It's Dr. Seuss's Lorax, the Lorax. And when you said that he could tax the air, I almost spit out my coffee. Yeah, I spit out my coffee reading your comment about how you think every single time you think of Governor J.B. Pritzker, you're thinking of Aloysius O'Hare from the Lorax. Very accurate representation of Governor J.B. Pritzker. So in your spare time, maybe you're bored at work during lunch, look up Aloysius O'Hare and do a side-by-side. Governor J.B. Pritzker, Aloysius O'Hare. They're the same. They're the same. I don't see a single difference. I want to get to this story, Marco Rubio. He went on Margaret Brenner's Face the Nation, CBS. He's the Secretary of State, and he tried to explain free speech to her again. Okay, so now last time he was on with Margaret tried to say that free speech is what caused the Holocaust to happen, which was really weird. She verbally struggled. Here, take a listen.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe, and that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums. Without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us. So again, at the end of the day, I think that people give that is a forum in which you're supposed to be inviting people to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing. That's not always going to be the case when it's a collection of democracies where leaders have the right and the privilege to speak their minds in forums such as these.
Okay, so that was Marco Rubio. He schooled her on how free speech actually didn't contribute to the Holocaust. It was quite the opposite, actually. So now he's on Face the Nation again. And before I play this clip, the more recent clip where he was on with Margaret Brenner on CBS, I want to do a recap, okay? So the White House, they're being attacked right now by members of the media and the Democrat Party, and I repeat myself, after taking away Mohammed Khalil's green card, okay, October 7th, 2023, Israel fell victim to a heinous terrorist attack at the hands of Hamas. October 8th, 2023, progressive students on progressive campuses in progressive cities decided to rally together and they thought the Jews were asking for it, essentially, these progressive students, and they rallied together to terrorize, attack, and prevent Jewish students from entering buildings on campuses, okay? Now, this happened at Cooper Union. I'm not familiar with New York and universities there. This happened at Cooper Union. I brought you the story where they were inside a library, the Jewish students, and they were prevented from leaving. They had to barricade themselves because they were going to be attacked by these pro-Hamas progressive students. Okay, so this is the recap. It's much different. It's not like this Mohammed Khalil guy with the green card that was revoked. It's not like he is a little kitten. Okay, he's a ringleader to one of the worst things that an encampment on Columbia University in New York. He was the ringleader to this encampment that terrorized and had the goal of terrorizing Jewish Americans on campus. Okay, so a green card is a privilege. It's a temporary status. Here in the United States, we are very, very kind to our foreigners because the Bible demands it of us to be kind to our foreigners, but it also demands our foreigners to be kind to us. Okay, and this is a transactional agreement. We give you the green card, you uphold the laws of the United States, and you don't violate these laws while you're here on a temporary status. Okay, he was a student allowed here from Algeria. Okay, and he got his green card yeeted. It got revoked. And they're saying that this is a violation of his First Amendment because this guy was just simply protesting on college campuses, and he's just simply pro-Palestinian, and that's why he got his green card revoked. No, he's the ringleader, folks, of some of the most awful things to have happened on these campuses, terrorizing Jewish students, attacking them, preventing them from moving about campus. Okay, so Margaret and the rest of the media on CBS, Margaret on CBS and the Democrat Party, they seem to, side with this guy, the guy who was the ringleader of terrorizing Jewish students on universities or on the campus there, the New York campus. So I find it ironic that a lot of these people are now defending the First Amendment because they like the free speech for the Hamas sympathizers, okay, and the people who terrorize students. They like that free speech, but they didn't like it when you were on social media during COVID saying that ivermectin work. God forbid you got on social media and did that, because we all know what the Biden administration did, right? The Biden administration hired companies to censor you, or pressured companies to censor you, Americans, from making accurate comments about the lab leak theory, the masks, ivermectin, the shutdown, how that was going to affect our students. So here he is, Marco Rubio and Margaret Brennan, and they're talking about this, and I'll just call him what he is, and this is what Donald Trump sees him as, and that's why his green card was revoked. He's a terrorist. He was terrorizing Jewish students on the campus when he was here temporarily. It's like inviting somebody into your home, okay, temporarily. You're welcome to stay here. I gotta go pick up the kids from soccer practice. You're welcome to stay here for about 20 minutes. Okay. And then they trash your entire place. You're going to kick them out of your house and never let them come back in, right? Okay. So take a listen to this.
I want to ask you about a decision you made to revoke a student visa for someone at Columbia University this past week. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writes, the administration needs to be careful. It's targeting real promoters of terrorism, not breaking the great promise of a green card by deporting anyone with controversial political views. Can you substantiate any form of material support for terrorism, specifically to Hamas, from this Columbia student? Or was it simply that he was espousing a controversial political point of view?
Well, not just the student. We're going to do more. In fact, we every day now we're approving visa revocations. And if that visa led to a green card, the green card process as well. And here's why. It's very simple. When you apply to enter the United States and you get a visa, you are a guest. And you're coming as a student, you're coming as a tourist, or what have you. And in it, you have to make certain assertions. And if you tell us when you apply for a visa, I'm coming to the U.S. to participate in pro-Hamas events, that runs counter to the foreign policy interest of the United States of America. It's that simple. So you lied. You came. If you had told us that you were going to do that, we never would have given you the visa. Now you're here. Now you do it. So you lied to us. You're out. It's that simple.
But
is
there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. I mean, you should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
They
vandalize colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down
I'm
colleges.
asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence of material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it. And by the way, I find it ironic that a lot of these people out there defending the First Amendment speech, alleged free speech rights of these Hamas sympathizers, they had no problem, pressuring social media to censor American political speech. So I think it's ironic and hypocritical. But the bottom line is this: if you are in this country to promote Hamas, to promote terrorist organizations, to participate in vandalism, to participate in acts of rebellion and riots on campus, we never would have let you in if we had known that. And now that we know it,
Is it only pro-Palestinian?
All right, I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Honestly, Marco Rubio couldn't have said it better myself. And unlike, everyone who was prevented from speaking during the pandemic about the media and the Democrats, we wanted to speak out against, things like the COVID-19 shot and how ivermectin work, vitamin D, and things like that. And the media and the Democrats, they censored you, and we were prevented from speaking about that by the media and by the Democrats. Khalil, this guy whose green card was revoked, was afforded his day in court. There was a deportation order. So you go to court. And you argue your case. This guy had 19 lawyers defending him. Now they're not going to tell you that. The mainstream media is not going to tell you that he had 19 lawyers defending him. Now it's unclear where those 19 lawyers came from. Were they pro bono? Were they progressive billionaires like Governor J.B. Pritzker or Penny Pritzker, who serves on the Solidar Network? As the Solidar Network Justice Project, whatever board, and she's the treasurer who also ultimately funds the Adala Justice Project, which is a extreme left, radical Islamic group, the Adala Justice Project, who calls for the elimination of Jews. Was it the progressive billionaires who were picking up the tab for the lawyers, the 19 lawyers, via their donations to their progressive nonprofits and their NGOs? Did the NGOs pay for this guy's lawyer? I don't know. The journalismers out there, the CBS Margaret Brenners of the world, the New York Times, the WAPO, the CNN, they aren't going to tell you, and they're not going to clear that up. So, yeah, the Democrat and the media, they are... of course, pro-free speech when it comes to Hamas sympathizers, but they don't allow Americans to speak out against, COVID-19 policies or efficient ways of treating COVID-19, and they pressured social media companies into silencing you during the pandemic. But, oh, God forbid we revoke somebody's green card who comes here and lies to us. And like I said, the green card, the visa, which ultimately turned into a green card. He was here on a student visa, I believe, from Algeria. And then he got the green card, and he's, his pregnant wife, right? They love to say that out there on the social media, or out there in the media, trying to paint this guy as if he's not one of the worst people in our society, who, was the ringleader to terrorizing Jewish students on our campuses, on our college campuses, at one of the most elite colleges, allegedly elite colleges in the nation, Columbia University in New York. So, we're going to be back. The Democrat Party, not very popular at all anymore. Let's be honest. We're going to be back. I do want to talk about how we just finished 4 years of Democrats in the media celebrating parents at school board meetings and grandparents peacefully protesting outside of abortion factories and their free speech being violated. So 4 years, the Democrats, people who spoke outside of abortion clinics, school board meetings, parents who spoke out at school board meetings, grandparents who peacefully went up to school board meetings and talked into a microphone. They celebrated that their free speech was violated in some form or another. What's his name? Huck. Chris Huck, I think is his name, Mark Huck. Mark Huck, he was the pro-Catholic father of 7, right? And they charged him with the FACE Act, and they tried to violate his First Amendment rights with the FACE Act, okay? And this is, the act that says that you can't be within so many feet of a Planned Parenthood, which is just ridiculous, essentially. He was acquitted. But he, the media celebrated that his free speech was during those 4 years where he was, attacked and they charged him with the FACE Act. They absolutely celebrated that. And he was an American, okay? And he was just protesting outside of one of these abortion factories. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. Yes, I played a little bit of Marco Rubio here for you this morning, and he talks about how it's a little bit hypocritical and it's just insane that the left is sympathizing and is pro-free speech when it comes to Hamas sympathizer, but they censored you when you spoke out during the pandemic. If you spoke out against the mask policies, ivermectin, and the COVID-19 shot, okay? And unlike, everyone who was prevented from speaking out during the pandemic by Democrats in the media, they stopped you from speaking out. They censored you and they pressured social media companies. We know that the Biden administration did that to Mark Zuckerberg, pressured him into censoring you. This Khalil guy who has this green card and was revoked, he had his day in court, by the way. Okay, so there was a deportation order and they, everything was done legally where they took his green card away from him and he had his day in court. The kid had 19 lawyers defending him. I say kid, grown man, and he's just young, a college kid. 19 lawyers defending him, okay? And I don't know if he was having these 19 lawyers, they were pro bono, perhaps progressive billionaires like Governor J.B. Pritzker or Penny Pritzker, who serves on the Solidarity Network as treasurer and ultimately provides funding to the Adala Justice Project, that nonprofit organization. I don't know if the progressive billionaires, through their various donations, through their progressive nonprofits and non-government organizations, picked up the tab for these 19 lawyers. That's unclear, but we know that the progressive journalists out there, they're not gonna expose that he had 19 lawyers. This is a legal deportation order. They revoked his green card. Like I said, if somebody comes into your house, you invite them in temporarily, and then they trash your house, you're gonna kick them out. Okay? He disrespected our laws. He came here and he lied about why he was coming here. And we just went through 4 years of Democrats celebrating the censorship of parents at school board meetings, parents being surveilled by the FBI at school board meetings because they spoke at school board meetings. They also went after Mark Huck. That was a story where he was protesting outside of an abortion factory and his free speech was violated. They charged him with FACE Act charges, okay? And they're out here and they're defending this foreign national who's a Hamas sympathizer. Okay. And they celebrated all of that for years, the school board meetings, the abortion factory protest. And now they come out and they start talking about free speech. Give me a break. All right. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye. Love you so much. Catch you later.